You're what?
I'm logging. It makes it easier for me to find the best stuff.
Boy, I appreciate you, man. What is this depth chart for? That thing's like a revolving door, you know, for everybody, really. So, well, I woke up Sunday, and the sun came up, and I had my health, and had a great day. All right, so I'm in a little bit better place. We obviously, like I said in the press conference, you do all the things necessary to get down there, and then you turn it over. You're not going to beat too many teams doing that, especially a K-State, Iowa State type team that does it a different way. And they typically take care of the football pretty well and burn the clock up. And, you know, when you get those opportunities, you can't do it. But just proud on a lot of levels about a lot of different things, and just kind of wish that we could find a way to break through, you know. So that's kind of basically it at this point. Any questions?
How proud are you of this team? I mean, there's a lot of reasons maybe just start going through the motions, just, you know, riding the season out. But the way they played Saturday, just how proud, what does it say about the team?
It says a lot about the team, and I want to give them full credit, because there may not be a fan alive that really cares about much of that. There probably is. There is. I'll take that back. But in general, it's about wins and losses, period, and we haven't won much. So moral victories aren't really fun to talk about with most of the fan base, or anybody really. But since we're talking about it, if you look at us defensively, what Clint Bowen has done, I mean, the last 3 games, they've given up 323 yards a game. In the last 4 or 5 games, they've consistently decreased the amount of yards our opponent has got for 5 weeks in a row, and gotten better. All right, with a fairly not so deep group of guys, and you look at guys like, you know, Parker Robertson. All right, who wanted him? No one. All right. Guy has a pick, led the team in tackles. I think he has a sack or a tackle for loss. I mean, he embodies what fans really love about football. And super excited to see a great kid have good things happen to him that no one gave a second thought to coming out of high school, you know. And to come from a different state and pay out state tuition at the time, holy crap, you know. I know my parents, it would have been a definite no. You know, so, but him and, you know, Kenneth Harris, I know he gave up a couple, but they targeted him a lot. He did pretty well some of the deep balls, and he made some tackles. And you know, McCoy has always been a constant, solid player in the middle there. But just really proud of what they've done, and just moving forward, I think they'll probably end up doing it again. You know, my hat's off to those guys. I mean, I'm really pleased with how, you know, Clint Bowen has taken the reins and done what they've done with, you know, arguably maybe not some guys that a lot of people would probably sign. So hats off to him. You know, it's real easy to be at LSU and Bama with those guys and put up some good defensive numbers. So, and nothing against our players, but we were a pretty thin unit, and they've done a great job. Offensively, they did a great job too. They moved the ball well. I think they had 373. Just had 3 unfortunate plays there that, you know, if one of them doesn't occur, we may win the game. You know, just one of those 3. And just pleased in a lot of areas, but it's just frustrating that just a couple of things will keep you from winning, you know, so.
Is there any update on Malik Charles?
Malik Charles, not as of right now. Okay. Not as of right now.
I mean, he was okay. He was moving his.
Yeah, well, when I was there, they were checking his, you know, all his signs, his hand strength and feeling and all that. All that was good. So I think it was, and I'm maybe ahead of myself here, but it was more precautionary maybe. And I'm sure there's some things in there, but We don't staff meet on Monday mornings because they need time to game plan. We do that on Tuesday, so there's some information on the injuries I haven't gotten yet.
I wanted to get to the defensive line because I think Clint's really done a lot with improving the back end and getting them to be more sound back there.
Yeah.
But Ryan Osborne,
What a coach, man. He gets after it. I mean, and I'm, hey, college people, anybody needs a D-line coach, that's the guy. And he gets after it. And it's not a scream fest. It's constructive criticism, and it's a lot of work. And the energy level that guy has is hard to maintain every day, at every practice, in every drill. And he's from Boston, which I think a lot of those people are just kind of like that. But, man, he's a really good football coach. He's done a really good job of that unit, and they love him too. They play hard for him.
and to do that, they've got to understand, especially sometimes his bedside manner as a coach,
Yeah.
that he cares for him because he's hard.
He
coaches
does as a
hard.
player. Players can sniff out things a lot quicker and a lot easier than you think. They're more intuitive of what's going on than you think they are. They know that guy's straining every second of the day, try to find ways to make them better. Unless you're just not very smart, And he's a good one now. He's a good coach. I think it was funny when it all went down after Game 3. He came to my office thinking he was next, and I'm like, Osborne, you're the last guy I'd probably cut loose, So he was nervous, but just a consummate team player and a consummate great dude, and coach is hard. I think he's an awesome coach.
Besides, you came out of the offensive line as a player, but you coached receivers a ton. in
Yeah,
your
most of my career has been skill guys.
Yeah. And what about Gavin Freeman? I asked him after the game where he never goes out of bounds. He says, going out of bounds is like ducking a fight.
Yeah, he dies hard. You know what I'm saying? That's football. Who wants to run out of bounds, right? It kind of reminds me, I remember a long time ago, I was recruiting a kid named Arturo Woods out of Bryan High School, all right? And I went to his basketball practice. I don't know what made me think of this, I just did. They would scrimmage, and there was no out of bounds. The ball went in the stands. They kept fighting for the ball. The clock didn't stop, play didn't stop ever for 30 minutes. And I went, that may be one of the most awesome things I've ever seen, ever. I mean, the ball was under the basket, and they were slamming into the wall trying to get the ball. No one stopped play. I'm like, man, what a great drill. And that's kind of the way he is. Strain, has ability, ball skills, fearless, makes plays. When his number's called, he makes it happen, which means he probably should call his number a little bit more. Now, I don't know if he needs to throw any more passes, right? But, can't say enough good things about him. He's like that at practice. He's the guy with grass stains all over his uniform at practice. He's laying out for everything at practice. He's a great kid. I'm glad he's on our team, and he kind of embodies what our fan base look to have on their ball team. I mean, he's just, great. I love him. He's done great. And probably, I would say, probably the most productive one we have at this point. So,
how important has it been to have the guys that have that type of character to keep this thing going?
Yeah, I mean, you have a bunch of guys that don't have that type of character. We may have 60 guys on this team right now. You know what I'm saying? I think, a lot of people are giving us credit as coaches, and trust me, we'll take some of it. But at the same time, if we didn't recruit the type of guys that we have, if we didn't dive deep into what kind of person they are, we'd probably be down to about 50 guys right now. So we did a good job picking the right guys for the most part. So, it means a lot to coach guys that it means something too, That bottom line is you don't want to fail or mess up or do the wrong thing because you're worried about what your teammates might think of you. That's what you're after.
What do you? I'm going to ask the players this. They don't know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
They don't know their future. How do they compartmentalize that?
Well, I think, if you want to be totally transparent with the thing, I mean, they're playing right now for that moment. It's like free agent in the NFL. what you put on tape is going to get you what you want out of it at this point. So some of the motivation is, they know that whomever's coming in here is going to watch it, and it's motivating them to do so. But it's just, it's just like anything. It's like being on a long drive and you don't know when it's going to end. Eventually you get kind of tired of riding in the car. You know what I'm saying? So this is pretty deep into the season, and I'm quite sure the weight of all this is kind of bothering them as well, which is another reason to tip your hat to them on game day, because they don't play like that. I mean, they play like they're all in, so it's pretty cool. Like Bob Schick and some of those guys had a player-only meeting right before the walk. They told me they didn't need me to talk to the team, and I said, well, amen, y'all get after it. And it's just that kind of leadership, because kids don't really like stepping out and being a leader anymore, Everybody wants to fade in the paint and take the easy route and point fingers and stuff. And those guys are kind of taking that role on. And, Bob looks like he's 35, so it's okay. But just there's a lot of good things. And I'm sitting here pumping a lot of sunshine at you guys when there's not really a whole lot of, in terms of wins and losses and outcome to be proud of. But, I mean, those are the things that, I'm proud of at this point, that we've kept most of the team here, and the guys that are involved, for the most part, 99% of them are pretty good attitudes, good at practice. They look you in the eye, they talk to you, they're excited to go back out today and practice and go at it.
In past years, when you've evaluated guys in the portal, when you watch a team that's had a disappointing season like Oklahoma State, what's helped guys stand out?
What do you mean, like an individual player I'm looking at in the transfer portal?
Like when you're looking at individual players, what helps them stand out that's made you go, we want to recruit?
Well, it's effort level, and when things aren't going well, it's guys that strain to the very end, because that's critical. In a lot of at every position, you're looking for strain when there's no reason to strain. And I know it's an unpopular viewpoint, but a lot of people look at those PFF grades and go, that's really, that's not. I don't think that's fair and all that. And again, I want to say this is, it's kind of fair. That company they can't just get everybody an F or no one will buy their product, right? So it's a little bit, they probably give them the benefit of the doubt most of the time, wouldn't you say? Like if the entire country graded out 59%, who's going to want that? Players don't want it, but kids in the 70s, probably worth looking at, and you can make any kind of cut up you want. Targets, catches, drops, touchdowns, explosives, point of attack, blocking, all that stuff. Missed tackles. All you got to do is click on the button. It spits it out and you can watch it all quick. So what leads you to that determination and want to do that is just kind of that baseline grade, Like you're a 51, I'm probably going to watch you because I got 10 other 79s in there I want to watch. You know what I'm saying? And then you make your own determination. But really on tape, just guys, obviously you got to have the skill set and you have to have measurables, obviously, and all the things that occur. But, man, you're just looking for that guy that's got, that strain and that they just go to the bitter end all the time when it doesn't have to be that way, And I think you see that in guys like Robertson and Freeman and those guys. That's what you see out of those guys. That's what you're looking for. When you watch tape, you want to see what those guys do. Like McCoy, those guys, man, they strain. They do a good job.
Have you said that, the straining to the players, or is that?
No, you always teach effort every day. You talk about effort, and you grade effort, And if you're begging for effort, probably not going to get it. You're probably not going to get it. But, it's just a core value within inside of you that makes you want to just, at the end of the game, you walk off the field and you start thinking about all the plays you didn't give full speed on. Some kids it really bothers and some kids it don't. You know what I mean? I know for me, I would have died to think that someone in my room, an O-lineman or anybody or coach, looked at me and said, man, he just kind of doesn't go hard all the time. That'd be the dagger for me. And that's the way it is with a lot of these guys, And it's becoming the other way in some regard, I think it's just it's a trait that is maybe devalued, like maybe a little bit less than it should be, because we all get caught up in the measurables and the combine workouts and all that stuff. And ultimately, you need to just watch the film, because usually what you see on tape is what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? What you watch them play and do, that's what you're going to get. It ain't going to be how far you stand broad jump and you're 40 and stuff. It's watch the film. Now, if you run a 4.29 and you do that, well, you know, you may be out of somebody's price range. I don't know.
Doug, two things. UCF, what do you see in them? And have you ever crossed paths with Scott Frost?
Yeah.
Kind of
So,
different vein of the.
So Scott, obviously, you know his lineage, Nebraska, and all that stuff. I was at the. No, it's not necessarily. I wouldn't say air raid. That's a pretty loosely term, but I was at the Broyles Award Finals. It was me and four, and he was one of them. Lane Kiffin, some guys, and kind of got to know him. And you know, he looks like this stoic, really super quiet. He's actually funny as hell. You know, I mean, he's real. He's dry humor, you know, but really smart and really a good guy. You know, it's just, I think, you know, he's not going to be the life of the party, but when he does talk, he's fun to be around. Yeah, he's fun to be around. I liked him.
What do you think of UCF?
Well, I mean, they've had some close games, and they have good athletes, and you know, I know they've had maybe some somewhat ups and downs at QB, you know, at that position. I noticed I watched them a week ago, and the starter wasn't really doing much, and they put in some. I don't even know much about the other guy, and seemed to kind of ignite him, and then went down there and threw a pick, I think, at the very end. But, you know, it's just like all of us. You know, we all have issues, and we all have things we're lacking, and we're all having depth problems this time of year, and how do you practice and all those kind of things. So I think they've run into a lot of the same kind of stuff we run into. They're close in a lot of games, and then because you look at their stat line in terms of, you know, offense, defense, productivity, passing, rushing, first down, scoring, and all that stuff, I mean, they're not bad. But their outcome hadn't been great, you know, with wins and losses. And, they're capable of getting excited at home and playing great, you know. But then again, you know, we're capable of maybe punch them in the mouth early, and their team believes they can't win. You know, who knows? But it's going to be a good game. So.
You ever been to that stadium?
Yeah, I was at Houston in 2013. We played them there, and they had Blake Bortles at QB, and they beat us on the last play of the game. We hit a receiver in the hands in the end zone from the 10, and he dropped it, and we lost. But I was shocked at how it was packed. What do they hold, 55, 60,000? That thing was packed to the gills. I was shocked. I know they got a good fan base. I know that they'll be excited, and I think they have a pretty good tailgate too there, you know. So it'll be a good environment, I think.
We're going to talk to Armstrong here in a second. His teammates over the last couple of years have talked a lot about his strength. Just sort of what stood out about Armstrong Nnodim to you?
Armstrong. Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Not 94?
Oh, yeah. Good Lord. He looks like I'm sorry, my fault. He looks like I want him to go be the leader of a business or a corporation, but if you just looked at him, you'd say he'd be a lifetime bouncer at a doorway at a bar. I mean, he's a scary dude now. I mean, when he comes in here, he is yoked up. I would not want any piece of that guy. But great kid. He's another one of those guys, just like Robertson, those guys. Like, he always a smile, always energetic, always high-fiving, always in, always talking, just, you know, just a pleasure to coach and be around. You know, you don't have to move him along. You know what I'm saying? He's already going, and he's a great kid, and he is yoked up, that guy. Yeah.
A lot of people look at the 4 turnovers by Zane the other day and make a judgment about how he played. But I'm curious, from your perspective, how did Zane play on Saturday?
I played good, man. I said at the press conference, we got a tight end on the edge there. It's tough on a tight end. He doesn't do that primarily. And the first one, I guess we had to do some kind of science project on it. I guess I'm not being critical of officiating, because I certainly wouldn't do that. But I don't know. It's just odd to me how the ball went forward when the guy was pulling his arm back. We need to do a study on that one. So, but anyway, but we got to do a better job protecting. And I think he was about to trigger the ball, and we had a guy kind of open, and got there at the right time. It was the worst possible thing that could possibly happen in that moment, right? The absolute worst thing, and it happened. And then they got it. Not only did we fumble it, they got it. So hats off to them for making a good play, but probably need to get our tight ends involved in some more of the one-on-one pass protection stuff. They just don't do it that much, and it was a full max pro turnback scheme, and somehow or another, usually the edge is double teamed, and because of the alignment, the tight end kind of got caught on a one-on-one with an edge guy, and he just couldn't hold up. It's not something they do all the time. So
Felt like watching Zane Saturday with where he was, comparing him to before the injury, before he missed time. Felt like he was getting the ball out faster.
Yeah, he's getting, and if you just keep getting reps and getting reps and getting reps and getting reps, you just get better and the game slows down, and you can make determinations on where to go with the ball a lot quicker based on what you're seeing in your pre-snap, and he's done a better job of that. And I think it's just, once you get enough reps at a certain thing, get back in rhythm. And, as a quarterback, you're going to have certain guys you feel confident in, you know what I mean, like Freeman. And, Davis has kind of stepped up a little bit. And some of those guys that can help expedite your read by just cutting loose a read 1 and 2 and just throwing to a particular guy based on coverage. So he is getting it out a little quicker. And both the sacks were shot passes. It was going to take a while, and it just kind of caught up to us there. It's just unfortunate you drive all the way down there, happens in the red zone. So because you'd like to at least get a field goal out of it.
Mentally, even though he was sidelined for a couple weeks, do you think because maybe he had got some game reps before that, do you think he was able to improve even those weeks he wasn't able to be out there?
Yeah, I think he improved more in the film room in those situations. Because you can kind of reflect back on and watch yourself doing stuff wrong, and it kind of resonates. When you have time to take a deep breath and actually sit there and let it absorb and soak in. I've always said that too, like about spring practice. When you get done with spring practice and you get back to watching the cut-ups as a player, you probably learn and get better faster from doing that than actually going through spring. And it's watching yourself doing this right or that wrong, and you got 2 to 3 months there to absorb that going into camp. I think it helps improve you.
I just wanted to ask one more thing about, obviously you've been impressed with the job Clint's done. When we got him after the game Saturday, he said the bye week, this was the first chance, because of so much change, trying to change the scheme, this was his first chance to have a normal sort of week to prepare. I was just curious, has Clint, with the job he's done, has Clint kind of proven that he has a place in this industry? I know he stepped away to do high school. Do you think he's proven he'd be a good hire for somebody?
If they wanted to, they'd keep him here because he's a hell of a coach and he's a great recruiter. And, I know I'm speaking for him. I mean, his son plays here. He probably wants to stay here, But at the same time, I think Clint's done his body of work. He's probably going to have some opportunities,
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate that. Yeah.